of new rules and new regulations. And here's the alternative, which is 1/6 of that. This one costs $1.4 billion in direct costs, $400 billion in food increase costs, and $141 million in mandatory new spending mandates to the states. This one does none of that. What does this bill do? This bill uses common sense to say what really controls our food safety. Our food safety is controlled by market forces more than anything. And if you look at our history on foodborne contamination, we're by far the safest in the world, and our rates have been coming down since 1996. Over the last 14 years, our rates have come down in terms of foodborne illnesses. I'm not fighting against food safety. I'm fighting for common sense. And what we see in the bill we're going to vote on versus the alternative which I'm going to offer, one builds and grows the government, one raises the cost of government, ultimately will be taxed to pay for that, one raises the price of food, and one puts unfunded mandates on the states. And I'm saying we can accomplish exactly the same goal as my chairman, the senator from Iowa, would like to accomplish without 280 pages of new rules and regulations. And so what do? We require the FDA and USDA to immediately establish a comprehensive plan to share their data. They have agreements, but they have agreements to share data, but they don't share the data. So we force them to do that. We require a strategic plan for updating their health information technology systems, which the Government Accountant Office for the last 5 years has been saying is their #1 problem. We require the FDA to submit a plan to expeditiously approve new food safety technologies and more effectively communicate those technologies to the industry and consumers. We leverage the free market existing food safety activities by allowing the FDA to accredit third-party inspectors. And we provide a limited new authorities without imposing new costs or additional regulatory burdens. These new authorities intend to better leverage the free markets and focus resources on preventing foodborne illness and contamination. They include emergency access to records, clarifying the HACCP authority relating to high-risk foods, and allowing the FDA to develop strategic international relationships. What will this bill do? It'll fix the real problem: ineffective government, ineffective bureaucracies. And what we're going to do when we pass the food safety bill that's on the floor is we're going to grow the government, we're going to create more barriers, we're going to raise the costs, and we're still going to have foodborne illnesses. So I'll end with that and move over to earmarks, and I know I have several colleagues that want to talk about it. And I'm not going to spend a long time on it. We've debated it and debated it. The fact is this country did just fine for the first 200 years without the first earmark. And when anybody in the Senate in the first 200 years of this country tried to earmark, they got shouted down in this body because they were told their responsibility was to the country as a whole, not to their privileged, well-connected, well-knowing few that help them come up here. We have a problem. And the problem isn't earmarks. The problem is the confidence of the American people. They see the conflicts of interest associated with earmarks. It's not wrong to want to help your state. It's not wrong to go through an authorizing process to where your colleagues can actually see it. It's wrong to hide something in a bill that benefits you and the well-heeled few without it being shown in light to the American people. And if we're to solve the major problems that are in front of this country over the next 2 or 3 years, and they're the largest we've ever seen, they're the biggest problems that we have ever seen in this country. We have to restore the confidence of the American people. Utilization of an earmark is not our prerogative. It's our pleasure. And we claim a power that we have in fact created. We do direct where the money goes. But we should never do it with a conflict of interest that benefits just those that we represent from our state or just those that help us become U.S. senators. And all you have to do is look at campaign contributions and earmarks. And there's a stinky little secret associated with that. The correlation is close to 1. That's not something this body should embrace, should tolerate, or should stand for. The American people expect us to be transparent, above board, doing the best right thing for the country as a whole. The real process is that the appropriations committees ignore authorizing committees. $380 billion a year in discretionary funds are appropriated every year that are unauthorized. And with that rebuff to the authorizing committees, they also put in any earmarks that they want or any other member wants. It's time that stops. It's time we re-earn the trust of the American people. And with that, I yield to my colleague, the Senator from Arizona, Senator King.
Mr. President.
The Senator from Arizona.
Mr. President, I want to thank Senator Coburn, and I also would like to express my appreciation to